Joe Vagnone, where your business matters. Local Biz Now.
You have to determine what is working, what isn't working.
Joe Vagnone is a respected business broker, helping individuals buy and sell businesses. Joe has successfully owned and operated many companies in a variety of industries. This is Local Biz Now, because your business matters.
Welcome to the #1 live talk business show, as Joe liked to say in North Carolina. Now, you're probably wondering who the heck is here, because Joe isn't, and I am Sherre DeMao, CEO and strategy maestro of Biz Growth, Inc., taking the helm for Joe as he is who knows where. Probably listening in just so he can catch us doing something wrong. But at any rate, happy to have you here at Local Biz Now. It's all about you. It's all about how to make a business, how to be inspired, informed, and we hope to entertain you a little, maybe make you chuckle a little about the world of business or about just the silly stuff that we might do. Thanks for listening in, whether you're listening in on 105.9 FM, 100.7 FM, or 1400 AM. We appreciate having you here. Now, if you are familiar, if you've been a long-time fan of Local Biz Now, 10 years rolling, think about that, 10 years we've been around. And on top of that, what we have done is Joe has interviewed more than 800 small business owners, and we have one here today to interview. Very excited, someone very special to me. And there's probably almost 500 videos on the YouTube, and we're streaming everywhere now. It's just so exciting. So anywhere on social media, you will find us here. Now, I want to share a little bit about who the co-host is, and I have to give Joe and Julie a little credit, because he put two strategic people together, strategy-minded people together. And so as I introduce Harm Stratman, who is the co-host today, I've got a very compelling question to ask him.
Okay,
once I introduce him. So Harm is a neuro-linguist programming, an NLP master, which you probably have to explain a little bit about that, and with an MBA, mind you, woohoo! And also loves to push the boundaries and alter attitudes. Now, I really love that. That's another thing that we have in common. I'm about next level, next idea. So I love that. Now, you like to help create unique, fast-growing companies.
Yep.
I'm all about that too. So there's so many similarities in what we do. Obviously, you're a strategic thinker, as am I, but I love the developer and executor. Execution is everything, right? I think the thing that we both can agree on is there's a lot of consultants out there, but they're not helping people get things done. Okay, sorry for anybody that I just offended. All right, so you like to rewrite the rules of the game. I like to call that being disruptive, right?
Yeah.
Disruption is everything.
Yep.
So here's my big question for you. Is Stratman really your last name?
Yeah, it is.
The reason I ask that is
I'm not someone else.
The reason I ask that is because when I saw Stratman, I immediately thought of like Superman or Rubber Band Man.
That's only during the weekend.
And that you help companies leap profit lines in a single bound. So I was like, is that a show name, or is that really your last name?
Okay, the Superman part is only during the weekend, but still, it's my family name. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah. Well, you clearly are doing what you were meant to be doing. Then that's all I got to say about that. So tell us a little bit more about you, and then let's have make a little bit of fun.
Yeah,
Joe,
first of all, I like to thank Joe and Julie for sure, because let's not forget Julie. Huh?
Oh, never forget Julie.
Yeah, absolutely. And I call myself a resultant. I'm not a consultant, and I'm also not a coach. We have enough consultants and enough coaches. I'm a resultant. It's all about result. And I work on the basis of no result, no pay. Mm-hmm. That's my disruptive part. You don't send me invoices and there is no result. So that's the way I work. You have an agreed growing rate or profit level, then you send me invoices.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
Another
way of working.
Yeah, it's a great way. Performance-based, right?
But there are not many girls or guys who are doing it.
Mm-hmm, exactly. Yeah. And it's all about differentiation, right?
Absolutely.
If you specialize in helping others differentiate, then you better darn well be differentiating yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Walk your talk.
Yes, walk the talk. Run the talk sometimes.
Better, and get the rubber on the road.
Get the rubber on the road. I love that. I love that. So, okay, so this is only the second Monday afternoon, and what the heck? Joe decides to leave Skip Down.
The second, and he's already away.
Yeah.
He
So
come
he's
back
leaving
on duty
us
the second time.
holding whatever, right? You know, holding
but
the
I had
fort
to make
down.
a promise. I had to make a promise. I promised Joe not to talk about Dilly Dilly, Bud Light, awful marketing at Anheuser-Busch, cigars, and what else? Yeah, that's about it.
Okay, so you're not going to talk about any of those things.
No. I was not allowed to do that.
You weren't even meant to, you really didn't mean to mention them either, did you? No, you
No
really
dilly
didn't
dilly.
mean to. But here's the thing. We realized before we got on that we don't know where Joe is. He didn't give us the intel where he was, and so you asked.
No, there was, you know that it's not allowed to visit Havana from here anymore. Cuba is on the list. It's not. So I got a message from the Netherlands that they noticed him in Cuba smoking big cigars on the beach. So.
Well,
so he is there.
Well, when you asked me where I thought he was, I said, well, it has to be the hottest place on earth. Now, I had a different idea than Havana, Georgia, but anyway.
I
love you, Joe. I love you.
Earth was different,
we love you. We love you. We love you, and we absolutely miss you.
Yep.
So, one thing I want to talk about before, you have an article that you brought, but we're going to get that into the second half of this first half hour. I loved in your bio the insanity of doing the same thing. Okay, and one of the things I want you to talk about that, because one of the things I say all the time to clients is when they say they're looking at what the competitors are doing and they're going to do what they're doing, and I'm like, remember when you were about 13 years old and your mom said that if Joey jumped off the bridge, would you jump off there too? I go, why in the heck would you want to do what everything your competitors doing? How about doing what they're not doing? Talk about some of the insanity.
That's really a good point, because
of doing the same things. Okay, what are some of the things you're seeing? That's just one thing, right? Just one thing.
So what I see a lot is that small businesses, they operate without a real market dominating position. So why are they different? And I asked a simple question: why would a customer come back? Is that because you're running a dull website? Or is that because you were really nice? Or is that because you really repaired a roof? Or what is the reason? And that's the first step. And then second, the majority of small business owners, they don't have any business planning. They don't plan.
They don't.
And that's so they don't think
it's
about...
ready, fire, aim.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then even a budget. How many do have a budget?
Right, exactly.
It's pretty amazing. So every time I talk with a small business owner, where is your mission? Where is your vision? What do you want to achieve? Long term, short term? And that should be the beginning. And there it's also, failing to plan is planning to fail.
Oh, it totally is. Yeah. It totally is.
And it's repeating. It repeats itself every year.
Well, and the thing is, there's no business, look at AI and what it's doing to certain businesses now. There's no business that can't be commoditized, so you better figure out what makes you different.
And that's the market dominating position.
Yes.
Why are you special?
Yes.
Not because you repaired a roof as a roofer. That's expected.
Yes, exactly. So when we come back, you've got an article. We're going to talk. We're going to talk
about this subject.
Yeah, it is. It's leading right into it.
We'll
be right back. I look forward to it. Welcome back to Local Biz Now, where your business matters. And we were just talking on the break how, oh, Joe, now you have something to yell at me about. I did not say it in the first round. So now we're all going to say it together.
We
got to catch up.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
1, 2, 3, everybody.
Your business matters.
All
okay,
right.
Joe.
All right.
You cannot blame us now.
You can't blame us. You can't yell at us now. We made up for
we
it.
did it.
Okay, so you have a article because
Yep.
Joe likes the co-host to bring articles, and so tell us what you brought.
Yeah, I brought really a small article, and it's about the role of corporate culture in a small company, small business in general.
Absolutely.
And often we think about corporate culture about big organizations.
Yes.
But that's not the case. Corporate culture is more a phrase we should use to describe the way we are trying to connect all the dots cultural-wise in a company. And that's also a small company.
Right, right.
Bigger than one. Otherwise, it's a little bit of funny discussion with yourself.
Yeah, and here's the thing that's really important that I say. Joe knows that I always say that branding is an operational function, not a marketing function.
Absolutely.
And that's where corporate culture comes in, because there's the visual, there's the verbal, there's the physical, but then there's the experiential, the personal aspect of branding. That is corporate culture. That is, and even if you are a business of one, right? You have vendors, you have customers.
Yep.
That corporate culture speaks to them as well. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the corporate culture also, it's a starting of a company. And why will people work together? What's the collective outcome of it? That's part of the corporate culture. When you have a strategy you like to execute, what's the result of it? Let's talk about it. So what I see a lot in small companies is that the owner is running it. A lot of employees, they are there, but are they mentally also there?
Are they mentally engaged? I mean, you look at the statistics that less than 30% of team members are engaged on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely.
So, Houston, we still have a big problem, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So informing everyone about where we are in the execution of your strategy, where we are budget-wise, when they have a budget, but let's say they have a budget-wise. Talking with your employees is also is good for preventing people moving out of the company, retention-wise.
Well, and look at what this show is all about. This show is about inspiring and informing. Yeah. One of the things with the corporate culture engagement and performance assessment that we do is we see all the time that the biggest complaint is that employees don't really know what's going on. They're not being informed. They have no idea what is in the head of that leader or that business owner. They don't feel inspired. There's no real vision or mission that they can wrap their head. And boy, does the workforce want that more than ever before now, right? Talk a little bit about how you get your business owners and to get in alignment on that small to medium level to truly understand that corporate culture is a tangible asset for their company.
Well, before you even can start to talk about aspects like a market dominating position, you have to know who is my customer. Now, who is my customer depends strongly on what do you want to achieve with your company, your product, your service, etc. So in order to get there, you have to start with a vision and a mission, and you have to start with your strategies. Keep it simple: vision, mission, strategies, and forget all the other stuff for the time being. And otherwise, you never make the jump from a strategical thinking in an operational thinking. But we both know that the majority of companies, they work without a strategic plan.
Yes,
they
do.
think that having a website, sorry to say this, is a strategy on itself.
Right. Or they just think having a bunch of things to do on a checklist is their plan. No, that's just things to do on their checklist. That's not a strategy.
It's a waste of time and a waste of money, and also a waste of time for your employees, because they want to grow. They want to be part of something big. And employees like to belong to something. And when you have a solopreneur and they move into an entrepreneurial with some employees, take care of them mentally also.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's study after study after study that says that if you take care of your employees and make them a priority, they will take care of the customers
and the company as a result.
And the company as a result as well.
And that's later on important, less stress.
Yes, less stress, because it's really amazing when you look at corporate culture from one of the things that we're studying, and I shared in our prep call, is that corporate culture really is a tangible asset. We're studying companies since their IPO and who have never dipped below their IPO and have had great stock performance. Yeah. And all the companies we have found that have never dipped below their IPO in this qualitative study have amazing corporate cultures. Yeah. And so, okay, pay attention. You're seeing corporate culture have an impact, starting to have an impact on a company being bought or not bought. I can think of a perfect example of that where a company ended up not being purchased because the corporate culture was in such dire straits, and the owner of that business wanted to stay on, and the employee said if the owner stayed on, they were leaving. And that botched the entire sale and acquisition of that company. Yeah. Tell me what you think is the biggest mistake that business owners are making, even when they might be trying to pay attention to corporate culture.
Are they really interested in their employees, or is it only for the sake of argument, or because they were listening to a program as this? But nowadays, I think what you see happening, it's more and more difficult to get the right individual in your company.
Right.
So in order to be successful, you need to pay attention to the employees.
Well, and there's alignment, right?
Yeah.
Attracting employees that are right for the culture you have as well. It's a two-way street, people.
But let's also say Lake Norman is also a bubble. Mm-hmm. This is not the reality all over the place in the U.S. Mm-hmm.
Now talk a little bit more about that. Why do you say that?
No, this is a bubble. It's a bubble. For sure. I see with small companies, they have problems with payment terms and stuff like that. Cash flow is an issue left and right, but not as much as other parts. When you go to the north, go to the Michigan area, there are some places in the U.S. which are.
Do you think maybe businesses in this particular area might be taking some things for granted then as a result?
No.
Okay.
No, I think that this is a wealthy area. Mm-hmm. A lot of wealth is flowing in. Okay, realtors are having a tough time, I suppose.
Yeah.
But okay, they had also some great years, so don't complain. And they don't want to change. Let's face it. Realtors don't want to change.
But the ones that do are rocking it. You know,
absolutely.
One of the companies that I featured in my Growth Secrets of Down, Companies of Down Economic Times, was Keller Williams, because they taught, interestingly enough, their team members, their realtors, to be strategists and identify the underserved markets. It was fascinating to see, and they rocked it during the Great Recession where everybody else didn't. So it's really fascinating when, you know, there is always opportunity for business, right? But they have to know where those opportunities are. And honestly, corporate culture is a huge opportunity for attracting customers, for attracting employees and team members and vendors, everything.
But also become a fast-growing company. When you are able to get your employees as well informed, and they talk about their mission and the vision as if it is their company. Yeah. That's half of the work.
Business owners, here's something that's really important, and I know that the Stratman will agree with me on that.
Was it Superman?
I'm gonna call you Stratman from now on.
Okay. One T, one N. Otherwise, it's German. I don't like it.
Okay. Is that? Think about when you're at a picnic or anything, whenever you're any of your teammates, all of you who have employees, even vendors, it doesn't matter, but mostly employees and team members. And what is the question that's always asked? Oh, where do you work? What do you do for a living? Yeah. What are they saying? What are they saying about your company? What are they saying? Wow, our company is making a difference doing this. Wow, they change the subject. Yeah. They don't even answer the question. Yeah. Then you know you have a corporate culture problem.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I think that every owner should ask the question, do you know all your employees? Do you know where they live?
Yeah.
Do you know the family situation? Do you know the struggles?
Well, and you know, how about helping them reach their personal goals along with reaching the goals that are dictated to them under their role, right?
You know, in the Netherlands, we had a commercial on television. I don't know whether you have that here. So there was a commercial, like a guy sitting on the side of his bed in the night, and he could not sleep. Why? Stress, we talk about it later, stressed out because his workplace was not okay.
Yeah.
That was the way, so do something about it. Are we doing that here? Do we really take care of our employees in that way?
Right.
I question it.
Well, you know, you're seeing in the bigger companies, they are trying to have wellness programs and things like that. small
But
business
you
has
made
a
last
more.
time a real good remark.
Yes.
Is the owner or the manager of that location ever seen in that workout place?
Yes,
or
exactly.
is he going to his private trainer?
Exactly, practicing.
You stole my line.
Yeah, you know. Well, and but here's the thing. The leaders must exemplify, right?
Absolutely.
And if they're saying you must take your vacation and they don't, or if they are expecting you to work all these hours and they're not, boy, that's sending the wrong messages.
Yeah, it's the same like an owner is saying you have to live healthy, and at the same time he's eating his hamburger. You know, it's,
Exactly.
oh, gee,
Yeah,
hamburgers can be healthy. Sorry.
Yeah. First impression, image impressions.
it
What
helps.
actions speak louder
Oh,
than words?
absolutely,
They always do.
Yep.
What would be your biggest tip to business owners to get started on their really paying attention to their corporate culture?
Ask the simple question, do I have everything in place from a vision to a mission to a strategic goal setting, a market dominating
That's where
position?
you start.
That's, listen well, a market dominating position. That is not a value proposition, it's much more. It's a connection between strategy and operations.
Right. And gets people excited to be a part of it, doesn't it?
And
guess what?
Your business matters.
Local Biz Now. We'll be back in a little bit. Local Biz Now. It's great to have you back. And of course, your business matters. That is why we are here, for you to inspire, inform, and entertain, hopefully. I am very excited to introduce to you our guests for today because I'm a client of hers. She's a client of mine. And I am very, very grateful to her for what she brings to the table. And that is Dr. Lexi Lain, founder of Summit Vitality. She's a doctor of naturopathic medicine based here in Lake Norman. How fortunate are we? And is an impassioned researcher and expert, all things stress. This has become extremely a focus of her business and her everything that she is offering, because, you know, we were talking about it in the first half.
That was the bridge.
Stress. Yeah. Stress, from health to mental to physical. It is an issue.
P&L.
Yeah.
Stress because of the P&L.
Because of the P&L.
There you go.
Because can't find workers, because workers can't find the job, because workers can't stand the boss. It goes on and on and on and on and on. And so, and what is really cool about Dr. Lexi is that she clearly practices what she preaches on all levels. I've seen it for myself, including de-stressing by competing in triathlons. Are you kidding me now? That is pretty darn amazing. Something that, a mantra I saw that I have to read because I love it, because I think you might have even said it to me. Stop asking me what you should be taking for something. Love that, because I'm so anti-meds anyway. Ask me what you should be doing instead. You know, how should you be supplementing? How, physically, mentally, you know, ingesting everything. So, okay, you got to tell us, why have you gotten so involved in stress? And tell us a little backstory about why this has become such a passion for you.
Sure. Yes. So thank you so much for having me as a guest. This
You
is a
are
joy.
welcome.
Yes.
I'm thrilled to have you here.
It's always great to have a conduit to help others.
Mm-hmm.
And so listeners, thank you for tuning in. And yeah, so first of all, I became a naturopathic doctor because I got sick in my undergrad. And that sickness, you know, wrong diagnosis, wrong medication, adverse drug reaction, and that the rest is history. And so I fell into the field of naturopathic medicine because, well, I needed it myself. And so as any other doctor, we graduate, we become doctors, we set up our practices, our businesses, and we are better doctors than we are better business owners.
Yeah, that's why we stay very
and then
busy.
Start to print money.
That's why we stay very busy.
Yes. And so, you know, it's been this massive learning curve, you know, and I would love the whole, like, what's your niche? And I'm like, I just want to help everybody and anybody. And, you know, because that's what doctors do. We just want to help everyone. So in defining of the niche and running a poor business and, you know, just a practice, well, 63% of clinicians are burning out. And there's a fundamental reason for that. There's a lot of systems in place that are not sustainable to the clinician. I will not get into that. But burnout is real, and it's spanning so many different industries, and I think we can all feel that.
Yes.
And so when the pandemic hit, this is an extreme example of just high OTT stress for everyone for so many different reasons, including myself. And so what I ended up doing was taking that opportunity to really listen in on how I can help others. And it started with the clinicians and mainly the counselors, the mental health counselors, because they were
were bombarded. Yes.
Bombarded. So that started the whole, okay, you know what? I'm so passionate about the stress. I'm so passionate about being able to help others, but starting with the leaders. And the Lake Norman
makes
Chamber,
a lot of sense from a corporate culture standpoint, right?
Absolutely.
If the leaders don't get it, nobody's going to get
That's right.
it.
Well, because I saw that, man, we really need to take care of the leaders.
Yes.
Because if we don't, then it starts at the top.
Yes,
right?
it does. Yeah.
And so even in the conversations with clinician burnout in the hospitals, we are talking to the leaders and saying, hey, we got to lead by example. Well, what are the leaders doing to take care of themselves? What are the business owners doing? What are the CEOs doing? So when you said the example about the wellness programs or the gym at the corporation, is the owner going and utilizing these things? Because they're watching you. And if you're not doing it, neither is your team. And so anyway, that began the story, and I became super passionate. And so spanning beyond just health professionals, but professionals in general. And really creating hey, can we make the world a better place? Because we all want to make a difference, but we want to do it in our best selves.
And in a gratifying way.
Yes.
You call this getting your spark back.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about what that means. When you see somebody that you're working with get their spark back, what is that like?
Okay, so have you noticed anybody who's been taking care of themselves? Like you can tell, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do they look like?
Happy,
Okay, what
Happy.
else?
smiling,
They have
Okay.
energy. They have some
Healthy.
energy.
Yes.
Healthy.
What does that healthiness look like? How do you see it in someone?
easy moving,
Yeah.
interaction.
They're lighting up.
Yep.
They're lighting up.
They're lighting
They're lighting up.
Yes.
And I think
They have
energy.
a spark.
They
Go
have
ahead and
a
say
spark.
it. They have a spark.
Yep.
They have a skip in their
Yep.
step, and so in those really dark times of the pandemic, that was also a challenging time for me too. I would call it a dark time. And so it all kind of started with a silent meditation.
Mhm.
And I went into this silence within myself and in my external world. And then this whole idea of get your spark back came in.
Yeah.
And I saw myself on a stage wearing sparkly shoes, and I have said sparkly shoes now. And anyway, so that was the mission. And it's like, all right, I'm going to help others get their spark back. And by doing so, it's light, and light is energy, and we are all the light of the world in our own ways. And so if we're going to run whatever business you're running and you want to make a difference, that's your bubble, to a lack of better terms there, right? But that's why we're all here.
Yeah.
And we're all unique in how we do it. And so light being energy, that's the focus. And
Well,
stress
and-
just steals that.
Well,
Yep.
what I love about how you work, because I have the pleasure of being a benefactor of your work, okay? And so something that you did, because you look at the whole, what makes you who you are as a naturopathic doctor,
Yes.
is that you look at the whole person. You're looking at the mental state, you're looking at the physical state, you're looking at the spiritual state, you're looking at, all aspects.
Yes.
And so, and then you're looking at aspects physiologically that maybe the medical doctor is not. And I'm blessed to have a medical doctor that's very collaborative.
Yes.
But you identified that I might be borderline B12 deficient. And so we had the test, and I'll be darned if I wasn't. And so working collectively with my doctor, now I find I have more physical energy that I felt I was losing, and I couldn't understand why. And so there is science combined with art, combined with, wonderful multifaceted methodologies
Yes.
that you bring to the table that are just wonderful.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I like to ask one question. The question I have is, why do I hear this much more often about deficiency left and deficiency right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Europe? No. What is it? Is it food, our food system?
Oh, the American food is terrible.
Is that the driver? Because it's really, this every time the same discussion. I had a deficiency here and a deficiency there.
Well, there are deficiencies in Europe as well.
I know, but not
Yes.
so extreme as what I hear over here.
Sure. And I have to kind of think about how I'm going to say this.
Political incorrect. Food
Yes,
is
yes.
awful over here.
Right. We can't upset Joe, whoever's listening. But anyway, no. So, all I'm going to say is that, you get quality of soil, you get quality of food, and we just talked about environmental toxins earlier.
Chemicals everywhere.
Yeah, so our burdens are at a certain
Corn
threshold.
syrup.
Right.
Yeah, corn syrup, yeah. So we have, imagine a Jenga tower, okay?
Yes.
And everybody's played Jenga. If you haven't, it's a stack of wooden blocks, and
That
you
you
stack them
pull,
up. You pull, and they go, and then the tower's going to tumble. And so imagine each block is a representation of something like an environmental toxin, to poor food choices, to insomnia,
Right.
to the stress from corporation, to your high blood pressure, to all the things, okay? And let's just stack the box.
Add up.
Eventually it's going to add up, and the tower will knock over, and so that threshold is going to look a little different in different countries, different work cultures, because we know in Europe they have the holiday. In the U.S. we do. Go ahead and explain what the holiday is.
No, yeah, the holidays. Okay, I was noting it. You talk about burnout. I always call it burn downs, because you see people really burning down almost.
Right.
But then
Right,
you
right.
get the whole point. How do you solve the problem? Is it being is it okay to have a burnout over here? Do we give people the time and the possibilities to get better again?
Sure.
Or do we cut it from the PTOs?
So
yeah,
I like
exactly, and going back to the whole aspect of taking time off and revitalizing
Yes.
and
Yeah.
rejuvenating. I have a dear friend whose husband retired from, I think it was, I'm not going to say who because I don't want to say,
No.
but had accumulated tons of vacation days that he never used.
right.
Instead
so
of
proud of it.
yeah.
Yes,
Well,
yes.
but here's the thing, and totally burnt down,
Yeah.
or burned out, whatever.
Burned out.
What I love to see is when you have to take them or you lose them, so you got to take them. We want you to take these vacations.
And creating a
Yes.
culture in your company to where not only are the leaders honoring their rest and recovery, that's what I call it.
Yeah.
Because if the leaders are honoring it, and then you have to also make sure that the
true.
employees are honoring it,
Yep.
and you kind of have to micromanage it and say, you're taken off because you haven't
Right.
in 6 months.
Right.
This is me intervening, and sometimes you do have to do that because it's in our culture to not do that. Now, so your question on like the two, what
let's
should we
finish
do?
this when we come
Solutions.
back. Let's finish
Yeah.
this when we come
Yeah.
back because
Really
I think this is
interesting.
important.
Really interesting.
Really
Okay.
important.
Sounds
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Stay tuned, listeners.
Yeah, and your business
Because
better.
your
Your
business matters.
matters. Yeah.
Serving you better than ever before. The new 105.9, 100.7 WSIC. News Talk Now.
Back to Local Biz Now. And what we want to say about this is that we hope you've been inspired, we hope you feel informed, and we hope you've been a little bit entertained. As a matter of fact, we believe that Joe should just stay on vacation and we'll just handle it, right? We'll just handle it from here.
Yeah, I think he had enough stress.
Joe,
We send him away
Joe,
for additional week
you need
off.
You need a little bit more stress relief. You need that rest and recovery. And we think that is very important to you. And I know Julie appreciates us encouraging him. Plenty of PTO, plenty of PTO. So
de-stress, Joe. De-stress.
De-stress. Okay, so I love the rest and recovery, how you that's what that's called, right?
Yes.
I want you to touch upon something that stood out to me as well in working with you, and that you've developed what's called a stress intensity index. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yes. So on the website, drlexilain.com, so L-A-I-N, by the way, the stress intensity index was just a series of questions because we don't always realize how stressed we might actually be. And we also might not realize some of those ailments that you're feeling in your body are connected to the stress. So it was a quick questionnaire I put together, totally free to you. And the stress, it basically goes through a series of questions. And it's thought-provoking, but very quick. And just helping to see, geez, am I a little too stressed? Am I hovering on this threshold, which would be the red zone or the yellow zone, or maybe you're just amazing at balancing your stress and wellness and your family and all of that, and so you'd be in the green zone. And those who are in the red and the yellow, I've gifted them with a sustainable success ebook, and so there's some top tips in there, but it's just a way for anyone really to make that connection between, maybe my stress is at a threshold, because burnout is like seasonal affective disorder. You don't realize you have it until you start hearing maybe the signs and symptoms of what it actually is.
Okay, share a little bit more about that. What would those be?
Yeah, so if you are waking up in the morning and you are dreading the work, and the small little tasks that really should not be like anything at all, it feels like a mountain. Your fuse is tiny and it's short, and you're snapping at your team members, or you're snapping at your family or your children, and you don't like this, but it's because you're hovering on this emotional exhaustion. And then also, the feelings of overwhelmed, or the worst case scenario is you've become apathetic, where you no longer feel like it's a micro quitting, and you just have nothing left to give. And so people in the caregiving industry, we might call that compassion fatigue, where you're just giving so much of yourself and there's nothing left. It's an empty cup. And so you become apathetic, which is just like I feel nothing and I don't care, and I'm not going to roll. I'm going to come into work at 10. I'm going to leave at 4, see what I can. Basically, The Office, the movie The Office, and the micro quitting. Just watch that. The dude was burned out.
Yeah, totally. And I like, because you have the quiet quitters and you have the great resignation.
Correct.
The micro quitting is fascinating. I love that.
Yes.
And I also, I think another thing, stress, because I've shared that with you, is just, when you know that you're always a very focused person and you're having a hard time focusing because you feel pulled in so many different directions, right? So you had some tips for, like 3 key tips that you think would get people to at least start to think of how they can manage it, our listeners. So give us those tips.
Okay. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is just imagine yourself like picking up a water bottle. You guys don't have to do this, but literally just pick up a water bottle and you're holding it out 90 degrees with your arm out, and you're just hanging out. You're just holding it. Feels pretty light, right? But what if I told it's almost empty. What if I told you to keep that arm up with that water bottle for the next 2 hours? What do you think is going to happen? Do you think you're going to be able to do it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe 5 hours.
Maybe
okay,
not.
You can relax.
Maybe all that juggling helps me. I don't know.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Yeah.
The water bottle, those are your stressors, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't change in weight or intensity.
No.
What changed was your threshold.
Sure.
So
that makes sense.
we have a mental threshold, an emotional threshold, and a physical threshold. So in triathlon, we call this like rest and recovery days. That's where I got that from. Or when you're working out, you get to muscle failure. So
interesting. Yeah.
That's what I mean by rest and recovery. So you can have micro rest and recovery moments during your day where you're not stuck. And I know people are in meetings back to back to back to back to back. Well, how do you feel? Drained.
Yes.
You have nothing left for your families.
Efficiency.
That's right. So taking your lunch, taking a 5-minute moment of breathing, and it seems so cheesy, but it's actually what you're doing is you're resting your nervous system and giving it a little tiny break. You're putting the weight down. And so these are little micro rest and recoveries you can do in the day, but then obviously the value of sleep and vacation, a do nothing day at work or at home. So there's lots of little ways to do that. So that's rest and recovery.
I've got something, that whole micro rest and recovery. I love that. I was doing an emerging leader program for a bunch of heavy stressed, heavy construction, engineers, project managers, that type. And we were talking about how important it is to just take a break, before you send that email, that's laden with stress response, right?
Yes.
And so one of the project managers shared that they were about to hit send. They decided not to hit send. They decided to go out for just a 5-minute walk. Just a 5-minute walk. They came back and they totally re-verbalized that email, and it was a much better end result.
Yes.
A 5-minute walk. Just get up at the desk, go outside, breathe some, vitamin D, get back in. That was just a great example of a micro rest and recovery.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
And what's happening physiologically, if you're a science person, is that your body and your brain is in a fight or flight response, and so it shuts down that logical, higher thinking part of your brain. And you need that higher thinking and logical brain to really think through clearly on how am I going to respond to that nasty gram? That would be the email, the complainers. How am I going to respond to the nasty gram with love and kindness? How can I do that?
Yep.
And in order to get to that place, you better go for that walk.
Yes.
And if you're the men out there taking your testosterone and you need to punch something, then maybe we need to have little those small punching bags. So, hey, that's an outlet. I'm not encouraging you to punch a wall, but a punching bag. Again, that Tai Chi and karate. Okay, that was my humor, all right? I'm seeing some giggles here. Anyway, so that's the karate. That's an outlet for angry. Let's face it. Sometimes you just want to hit something. Something, not people. All right, so then moving into exercise and making time. So the top 10 number 2 is going to be making time. You're not going to find it. You're not going to have time. You have to make it. And part of the making time is making time for the rest and recovery, but also getting exercise in. That was the biggest change in my world that really changed. And it changed my life. It also changed my business. So that's a really important piece. And that making time, really thinking through what's making time in your life for what matters.
Can you talk a little bit about micro making time in this regard? Because there is value. If someone thinks, I must carve out an hour and a half or an hour in a day, give some examples of how they can do micro steps towards getting some exercise. So that they start to see the benefit, and then maybe they will start to make even more time. Can you share some thoughts around that?
Sure. Okay. So parking in the furthest parking spot, taking the stairs versus the elevator. In your moment of if you're just brain fog, you could do some standing jacks in your office. You could do a wall sit in your office. You could do, there's so many different office exercises.
But now small businesses, small offices. How do we do it there?
You can do it at your desk, right?
Walking around a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, accept the fact that people are walking around.
Yes.
Don't put them behind the desk and leave
Sure.
them there.
Exactly.
Sure. Right.
Exactly.
Right. So there's lots of ways that you can go into YouTube and look up, just quick exercises you can do at a desk, or even again, everybody's got some sort of a wall. You could do a wall sit, or maybe you can't do that because of your knees. There's so many different ways.
But
you can
even
be creative.
stretching, right, could help because it just kind of releases some tension that's in you as well.
Yep. And if you like breath work, Wim Hof breathing, especially if you got a lot of more of that nervous anxiety and energy.
Okay, so what's Wim Hof breathing?
Oh gosh, it is a form of breathing that it's breath work, and gosh, you're basically taking these long inhales and exhales repeatedly, and then you're holding your inhale,
and then exhaling for 4 counts and things like that. Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great stuff on YouTube for that. So if you're interested, and anyway, so I will say this. So you have your business, and you're probably advised to work in your business and on your business. So you have the on your business tasks, you have your in your business tasks, but you also have your personal needs as an individual.
Working on yourself.
Working on yourself.
Yeah.
And then you've got family needs and obligations. Your spouse, when's the last time you took a date night? You know, are you really, having one-to-one time with your kiddos?
Or work out together with your spouse.
Yeah, sure.
That's also
exactly.
cool.
You know, depending on the couple,
Yeah, for sure. But that's healthy.
How can you combine some of that?
Yeah.
Right?
So this is my exercise, is that you take a piece of paper, because I like to write things out, get your mind away from a computer, and just put four boxes or 4 quadrants. And one quadrant is your business tasks, because we're a business talk show here, right? And then your next quadrant's going to be, okay, I need to work on, so the business task can be the thing, like for me, it's doctoring, right? Or coaching. For you, it might be sales or consult, whatever it is that you do, but then the running and the operations of the business.
Okay, 60 seconds. So what are those last 3 quadrants real quick?
And then the last one is the you. So that's going to be exercise, eating, downtime, meditation, journaling, whatever it is that you need. And then your family needs.
Family. Okay.
And then you could put an other, which is going to be all the other junk, like maintenance of the home and all that. Then as you're compartmentalizing, my advice would be is, as you're taking the family time and the you time, so things that are really important, because I'm hoping that your family becomes more important than the work, is that you're putting that into your calendar first. And then you're actually scheduling around those non-negotiable needs.
Exactly.
And making sure that your needs are being met.
It's a way to prioritize, is what you're saying.
Correct. It's a prioritizing exercise where you're integrating in the business needs as well as yours and your family's.
And that's all. You can find it on your website.
Yeah. So
not that, but you can. But the stress intensity index.
Okay, call her.
So how can they reach out to you?
They can reach out to me through drlexilain.com, and then also social media. You can direct message me there.
Thank you so much, and thank you for joining us on Your Business Matters, Local Biz Now.